The day has finally come. FNAF is now on film theory for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which is coming out in less than a month and a half now, which is kind of crazy to think about, honestly, but apparently MatPat has solved the FNAF movie, according to him. So, obviously this is going to be like his predictions, his theories based on what we have so far with the trailers, promotional material, all that. So, I'm interested to see what he's going to say. So, Google Meet, my favorite, part of FNAF is Google Meet. I love it. Let's begin.
Thanks to Google Meet for sponsoring a portion of today's video.
Thank you, Google Meet.
It's been so many years.
For real.
Long have I waited. Finally, it's my turn. Hello, Internet!
MatPat from
Welcome to
Film Theory versus MatPat from Game Theory.
Always knew that this day was coming. It's been over 8 years, but finally the Five Nights at Freddy's live-action feature film is set to hit the silver screen in a little over a month. And you know what that means. It means that nowhere is safe anymore from FNAF theories. Don't believe me? There's a FNAF cookbook releasing in October.
Food theory?
A FNAF cookbook. It's coming
food
for your
theory
next
gonna...
food theory.
Yeah.
It's a FNAF fashion line that's infected all of us.
Ah, yes.
Oh, my sweet stars, what have I done? But for as satisfying as it is for Film Theory to take another toy out of the toy box at Game Theory and claim it as our own, see also Sonic, Mario, and Last of Us in this year alone, in all seriousness, we are way overdue for a theory breaking down our predictions for this movie. And believe me, there is plenty to talk about.
I actually did my own video on the predictions a couple days ago now, so you guys can go check that out if you want to. So it's kind of funny timing for him to do this video like right after I did mine.
If you're on YouTube and you somehow missed the phenomenon that is Five Nights at Freddy's, how? Like, genuinely, how? I need to know your secrets. This series exploded about a decade ago, with every Let's Player on the platform screaming their heads off over the haunted animatronics hunting us down in the ruins of a dilapidated pizzeria. But while the scares certainly got us started, it's the story that's kept us going. What's helped the series persist for as long as it has been its incredibly mysterious story told through scraps of information and obscure environmental details. Heck, 60 episodes later on Game Theory, and we are still trying to decode this thing. It's only been 60? Feels like there's gotta be 100 at this point. And this new FNAF movie seems to be staying true to the franchise's roots, not in terms of the lore necessarily, but in terms of the cryptic storytelling. There is a ton of information packed into the few short minutes of trailer footage that we've seen so far. Enough that I believe we can predict the entire plot of this new movie, right down to the shocking twist ending that's gonna leave you devastated. Here's a hint. If you think this movie has itself a happy ending with everyone smiling and living happily ever after, then clearly you have not been
probably not.
So today, Film Theory does what
at least not entirely
never been able to do: solve this franchise. And we're gonna do it.
I doubt it. No offense.
Keep your eyes on
but he's tried this before with other stuff,
So I think a good place to start with our prediction here is sort of laying out what we think the movie's trying to do with FNAF as a franchise. Just from watching these trailers, I think it's clear that this movie does not take place in the universe of the games. Why? This thing. I have played, watched, and read every last scrap of information this franchise has put out, and this is unlike anything we've ever seen before. Clearly,
that's definitely not true.
And clearly it was made by the franchise's big bad, but why, what, and how is still a complete mystery.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right here for a second and say that first of all, I don't think this thing of all things is what proves that this movie is not in the games. I think what proves that is everything else. This thing is something we've seen in the games. It's simply like the inside of the Freddy Fazbear like head, which Phone Guy talks about in FNAF 1. He talks about how inside is like a bunch of like animatronic like technology and wires and devices and stuff. Those things aren't supposed to be like saw blades. They're supposed to be like gears and stuff. It's not a murder weapon. It's just the inside of Freddy Fazbear's head. And Phone Guy talks about how if you get your head forcibly pressed inside it, then you're definitely going to die. And that's clearly what's happening here. The animatronics are just stuffing the security guard into the suit. Also, I don't know why the animatronics would use this thing on people if it was made by William Afton. but
my best guess, and again, this one's a guess, is that it's a remnant extractor.
No.
Murder victims have the most
I very
dramatic,
much doubt
death
that.
possible, so the agony they experience can be harvested to help create creatures with eternal life. If none of that meant anything to you, strap in, El Chippo. You're in for a crash course. By the end of this thing, you're going to be talking about Fazgoo with the confidence of a pro.
Oh,
Looking
God.
at the trailers and IMDb, we know that this is going to be the story of Mike Schmidt, a security guard from FNAF 1, but things are different this time.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
makes
this
it different
certainly
from the
appears to take
games.
place in the 1990s, like the original FNAF game, considering
Probably.
everyone's using old school wired
Yeah.
telephones. There are no modern cars, and all the monitors are old CRTs. They're also bringing in characters who clearly reference later parts of the franchise, specifically Vanessa from Security Breach, a blonde security guard in the game who here appears as a blonde police officer. What I think's going on here from a meta perspective,
I will say that I think that's a case of reusing names, not reusing characters, because in Security Breach, or in FNAF AR, we learned that Vanessa's last name starts with an A, and in this movie, her name is Monroe. Her last name is Monroe. So, it's not meant to be the same Vanessa. It may be like a reference to her or something, or maybe there's meant to be a connection, but it's not meant to be the same Vanessa for sure. It's probably just reusing names.
is that the movie's taken a bunch of stories from the game franchise and simplifying them for a general film audience, while trying to keep the most iconic aspects of the games intact. Plus, they're going to be combining ideas and characters from different eras of the franchise to get as many recognizable aspects of FNAF into one film as possible. That's why we see the story from the original FNAF interacting with someone new from Security Breach, and then you have a girl named Abby mixed in there whose name is literally an anagram of baby, all fighting against an unbroken version of Springtrap. That right there, that is the filmmakers.
I mean, he is
kind of
broken.
between the different eras of FNAF and bring in as many fans as they can. The OGs
Sure.
from 2014, the new fans from Security Breach, and also your average Joes who can't tell a Fred Bear from a Ned Bear, let alone a glam rock from a rock star. Oh, you have so much to learn. So all in all, think of this movie as something that's gonna wipe the slate clean and start fresh, referencing moments and key characters from the games and books, but not being beholden to them. Because, you know, that's not a confusing route to go at all. That said, let's just hope they don't stray too far from the games. Case in point, this detail right here. During a spoopy, scary moment in the trailer, Nebraska is spelled out very clearly on a poster in very large, very bold letters right next to the main character's head. This was an intentional decision definitely put into the trailers to keep us talking. This means something. Now, the general consensus is that the FNAF games normally take place in Utah.
Well, yeah.
Multiple spin-off book series have made that detail quite clear. Could it be then that they've moved the setting to Nebraska for some reason? Maybe, but I don't think so.
I don't think that means that it's there.
You're currently in right above your security desk.
Yeah.
My guess is that this poster was put here intentionally by Mike. It's important to him for some reason. My best guess is that it's #goals, an aspirational place to go to help him get out of his current situation. Because on the face of it, things don't seem to be
Or
going
he's a
all that
fan of
great
The Walking
for him.
Dead
It looks to me
Season
like
2.
Mike and his family have fallen on some hard times. First off, we don't see his parents in these trailers
You'd only get
at
that
all.
if you watch
Though
the
Mike's
show.
father has been cast, I'm gonna guess that he's only here for a flashback scene, considering he doesn't look too much older than Mike's actor Josh Hutcherson. Additionally, we see that Mike and his little sister Abby are living in a small house with an average car, and Mike is looking for any job that he can get.
I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available. I will take anything.
We later see Mike bring in Abby along with him while he's working, implying that this is probably their only option. They can't afford a babysitter, and if there were parents at home to take care of Abby, why would he be bringing her to his night shift job?
Well, she does have a babysitter, but earlier in the trailers we see that she dies, so...
So Nebraska might be a symbolic place of freedom for Mike, a place to escape and finally be free. More or less, though, I believe that the setup for the backstory of the FNAF movie is gonna align with that of the first game. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria was a popular arcade and food chain represented by its 4 iconic mascots.
Yep.
Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy.
However, they're not the only ones here. It seems that some of the children encountered another animatronic, a large yellow bunny rabbit that's separate from the other 4, as
Just
we
like
see
in the
drawing
games.
here on the wall from this shot. This was a costume
Can we
used
appreciate
by the
that
owner of the
legendary drawing?
establishment, William Afton, an outfit that he would use to get closer to the kids, which honestly is creepier in a movie than it was in the games. You know,
Yeah.
just your typical yellow bunny friend holding hands.
I really would want to see that in the movie, like him luring the kids away with that suit. I feel like that would be so cool to see. I'm not a psychopath, I
with
swear.
5 kids, which, when you're talking in horror movie speak, is code for he killed those kids, stuffed them into suits, and eventually turned them into haunted robots.
Yeah, of
Also,
course.
just to call it out here,
Simple
I
stuff.
originally thought that there was going to be something hidden in this wall of drawings beyond just the obvious. I mean, it is the perfect spot to sneak in little bits of hidden lore, but the more that
Balloon
we've
boy.
seen of the wall in other trailers, there doesn't actually seem to be that much of anything here, sadly, and honestly surprisingly considering the franchise we're talking about. Speaking of Yellow Bunnymen, the trailers seem determined to convince us that the person we expected to play the franchise's big bad isn't isn't actually playing the villain. Despite rumors that he would be playing our resident Urkel murder man William Afton, in the trailers, Lillard's character is clearly labeled as Steve Raglan.
I'm sorry. Wait. Can I hear that again? Hold on.
Despite rumors that he would be playing our resident
rumors. Okay, listen. Matt, I love you, buddy. But they're not rumors. They're what Scott and Matthew Lillard literally told us. They're not rumors. We know that he's William Afton. They're not trying to mislead us or anything. He's just that's who he is. He's just using a fake name.
Urkel murder man William Afton. In the trailers, Lillard's character is clearly labeled as Steve Raglan.
Yeah, he's using a fake name. He does that in the Silver Eyes too.
There's one thing we've learned here on film theory over the past decade, it's that trailers can be manipulated to create mystery or confuse timelines. See also Morbius and Infinity War, just to name two key examples. And here, I think we're being presented with the exact same.
I don't think so.
In fact, I think 100% confident that
considering how much of the movie is kind of similar with the Silver Eyes, as I talked about in my video from a couple days ago, I feel like he's probably just using a fake name. And I feel like him using a fake name also proves the point that it's like the Silver Eyes, and the Silver Eyes being like the movie also proves that he's using a fake name. The fact that we know that he's William Afton means that they're definitely not trying to hide it. Scott himself said that he's William Afton. Matthew Lillard himself said he was William Afton. IMDb has said he was William Afton, and then I think they changed it to Steve Raglan, and then they changed it back to William Afton, and then they keep changing it or whatever. I don't know. But we know that he's William Afton, so they're definitely not trying to mislead us because we already know who he's playing. So I think he's definitely using a fake name. And I don't think that's really, like, hard to believe.
That I can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Especially since Afton has done that before.
He signed a 3-picture deal to star in more than one FNAF movie.
Yeah.
And unless Steve Raglan's a new character that Blumhouse is just really hype about, I expect that deal was to play Afton. However, far more convincingly, we
know he's Afton.
The trailer where a young boy is seen getting kidnapped in the middle of the woods. Based on the film's official website, the synopsis reads that Mike is
his younger brother,
haunted by the unsolved disappearance of his younger brother more than a decade before. And we know, based on casting, that the brother's name is Garrett.
Yep.
Now, the actor playing this kid Garrett is named Lucas Grant. Hopping over to Instagram,
yeah,
Grant
I know what he's going to talk about.
By Matthew Lillard, saying that it was great to work with him and that he's much nicer than his character.
Oh, never mind. I don't know what he's talking about.
Actor playing
I think it's obvious though.
Reason to interact with the career counselor.
I don't think you need evidence, considering Scott himself said that he was William Afton, and Matthew Lillard himself said he was William Afton. I know I've said this. I'm kind of repeating myself now, but it's already been blatantly stated. You don't need evidence for it.
He wouldn't. The only way they interact is if Matthew Lillard, Steve Raglan, William Afton, call him whatever you want, was kidnapping that kid. In other words, in this movie, a big final reveal will be that Matthew Lillard kidnapped Mike's brother. This would actually parallel some key moments from the original novel, where
maybe
William Afton acts under a pseudonym, Dave Miller, and has the perfectly normal mundane job of security guard for an old abandoned.
In that case, why are you not assuming that he's just using a fake name in the movie?
Mall,
unless he's gonna say that.
Supervise the comings and goings around Freddy's. That way, when kids start poking around, he's able to hop into the suit, get it, hop, because he's a rabbit, hop into the suit and try to scare him away, just like we see him doing here. And lastly, in the novels, he also kidnaps a kid prior to becoming a crazed serial killer. Honestly,
he does, yeah.
A lot of the details here line up. So really, when we look at a lot of the clues coming from these trailers, the story is largely what you'd expect. There's a string of children disappearing from the pizzeria, resulting in Freddy Fazbear's shutting down. Judging from both the kids drawing on the wall and this shot from the trailer, looks like Afton killed 5 children, as we'd expect from the lore of the first game. Our favorite bunny-themed serial killer hid the bodies of the kids inside the animatronic suits, and in so doing trapped their souls inside the robots forever. And we know that they're sticking with that specific part of the lore based on the jump scare here. It is so good every time I see it.
It is cool.
Hands popping out of animatronic.
But I don't think that's what proves that. I think we already just know.
That he definitely hid the bodies inside them.
And they also say it in the trailer that they're possessed by robots. Or the robots are
possessed. As we see in the most recent trailer, some small-time criminals break in, intent on robbing the place and trashing it up for fun. I believe that sequence is probably going to be the beginning of the film. These characters breaking in before they're met with a terrible fate. The possessed animatronics come to life and kill them as they're mid-crime, not only showing the audience early on that these things are terrifying, but also creating a giant problem for Afton, who now risks having more people poking around his old murder den.
I do think that it's going to be earlier in the movie, but I don't think it's going to be like the opening, because I'm pretty sure Max is meant to be Abby's babysitter, so I would assume that she's going to appear in more than just that scene. I think the opening of the movie will probably be the first security guard dying, which we know happens in the trailer. The security guard's probably meant to be like kind of like the phone guy standing. I don't know if he'd actually like be phone guy and talk on the phone or anything. Probably not. It may be, but probably not. But I do think he's meant to be like the phone guy standing as the guard before Mike, who ends up dying from the animatronics. I think that's what would be the first scene. And Max would be the babysitter. So I don't think they're really criminals. I think they're just trying to break in to like dismantle the place for whatever reason. I don't really know why, but we'd probably figure it out in the movie. But yeah, Max is probably not gonna. Is probably gonna appear in more than just that first scene. So I don't think that that's gonna be the opening. But
hoping to prevent future break-in.
All right, what's he talking about?
Not only showing the audience early on that these things are terrifying,
right,
but
okay.
also creating a giant problem for Afton, who now risks having more people poking around his old murder den. Hoping to prevent future break-ins and deeply uncomfortable questions about his past, Afton decides to hire a security guard to keep an eye on the place during the night. His first option doesn't exactly work out all that well. Not to be
I think that happens first.
Mass murderer tries and tries again to find someone who'll keep the building safe. Enter our main character of the movie, Mike Schmidt. Mike will do anything for cash. Based on these two shots from the first trailer here, we know that Mike has a history of working as a security guard, but likely he got carried away in a previous role, resulting in him getting fired. Desperate for cash and with no one willing to hire him, Mike takes a job as the night shift security guard at Freddy Fazbear's, bringing his sister Abby with him.
I talked about this earlier, or not earlier, in my predictions video. I think that Mike will still be working at the at the mall when Afton offers him the job, but Mike will be like, I already got a job, so I'm not going to take it. Considering we see that William is talking to Mike, like, personally at first. Remember, like, that line where he's like, it's a security gig, and then he, like, it's a security gig, and he's, like, talking directly to him. And then later on, they're talking on the phone. So that implies that Mike probably had his job still, and then turned down the Freddy's one, and then later on he ended up taking it because he lost his other job. And also, I think it'll probably be because the other guard died first. I think that other guard already was there, but he died first. And then the people broke in or after that guard died and before Mike was hired. That's what I think is going to happen.
It seems like things aren't too strange starting off. Though it's certainly creepy, they explore the pizzeria without much of an issue. Until, of course, there's a knock at the front door. Mike goes out and meets Vanessa, a police officer with a strange interest in the building. In fact, she seems to know a lot about Freddy's.
In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched Freddy's top to bottom. They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
Looks like somebody watched our complete timeline. Soon, as creepy occurrences start happening all across the pizzeria, Mike realizes what he's gotten himself into.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots. Thanks for the heads up.
And here's where the stakes get higher. Obviously, the animatronics are going to pose a danger to both Mike and Vanessa, but their well-being isn't going to be the only thing on the line during this movie. In the trailers, we see shots of Abby going off to explore the pizzeria alone and ultimately hiding from Foxy in the ball pit.
Kind of like Jason.
She doesn't time travel. In all seriousness, though, somehow Abby will befriend the animatronics, especially the leader, Golden Fredbear, a character that...
Are you kidding me? It's just Golden Freddy.
Except for in shots with her. Why does she befriend them? Or rather, why do the animatronics choose to befriend Abby? Well...
because they're kids.
They want to make her like them.
Yep,
I think that's wrong.
Add another member to their ranks, and that is going to be the big driving factor for this movie.
I think they're mistaken there.
Rush to try to solve
and
the
they just want to be friends because they're all kids.
To rest, hopefully with plenty of time to save Abby. The scenes where we see Mike interacting with the kids outside the pizzeria, I believe that this is where Mike is trying to put the pieces together and is speaking to the spirits in something like his dreams. Of course, William Afton
I feel like he doesn't realize that though.
Happen and has to get himself physically involved, disguising himself in his old Springtrap costume and chasing Mike and Vanessa around in an attempt to silence them in the big scary action set pieces. Afton will likely capture and injure Vanessa at some point, considering that we see a yellow rabbit hand grabbing Vanessa's neck here, and Mike's
then she ends up in the hospital
looking concerned. So that's the main setup for what I see happening in the movie, but what about the big twist? There's always got to be some sort of a big twist in FNAF. Well, I believe that it comes with the identity of some of the spirits. You see, we actually get a pretty good idea of which spirits possess which animatronic bodies from this shot in the trailers. It's pretty obviously telegraphed. Bunny ear kid is Bonnie, redhead with pirate claw is Foxy, the girl wearing all yellow is Chica, and the boy with the top hat is Freddy. As for the last kid though, well, the obvious thought was that he was going to become the mysterious Golden Freddy. I think that's what I and everyone else assumed.
I mean, I think so,
trailer.
yeah.
Now, I'm not not so sure. The fact that this 5th child in the shot doesn't have a characteristic explicitly linking him to an animatronic has to be intentional, and I believe that it was the filmmakers keeping things ambiguous so we wouldn't guess their twist. I suspect that the 5th kid here isn't Golden Freddy. Instead, I think it might be the Cupcake. Yeah, I know, I get it. It sounds ridiculous, but hear me out on this one. In the latest trailer, we clearly see Cupcake moving around independently and attacking someone without Chica's help. My initial gut thought to this? Well, that's kind of stupid, to be honest. Like, does Chica's soul transfer down into the Cupcake alone for remote attacks, leaving Chica soulless for a while now?
Or she just
can
controls it.
Divide itself and act on different parts of the character at different times? You know what? I'm not sure.
The Cupcake is meant to be a part of Chica, so I think that Chica should probably be able to control what the puppet does, or what the Cupcake does. So in that case, then the spirit in Chica could probably just control the Cupcake. Or if anything, it's her dog. But I doubt that, though.
Good answer for it, but I do think that this would
I
open
don't
up
think
an
it would be
incredibly
possessed
dark
by its
and
own kid,
compelling
though.
Twist on Golden Freddy. Remember, these 5 kids who disappeared at Freddy Fazbear's and
Garrett, I'm
aren't
assuming?
the only kids that have gone missing in this story. We still have ourselves Mike's missing brother Garrett, who we talked about earlier as the kid in the back of the car, likely being carted away by old Billy Afton up in front. I mean, in this franchise, it would be shocking if someone kidnapping a child wasn't William Afton. Anyway, why do I think that this is actually the moment that we see Mike's brother get kidnapped? Well, again, we turn to actor Lucas Grant and Instagram, where we see this post of him hanging out with another child actor named Wyatt Parker. Parker even calls Grant his best bro, an interesting choice of words considering that Parker was cast in the film as young Mike. 2 twin brothers, one who gets kidnapped.
They're not twins. They're definitely not twins. But I will say that, didn't he mention earlier in the video that that Mike was talking about the disappearance of his younger brother? I think that's enough, right?
Almost a one-for-one replica of what we see happen in the Silver Eyes novel. So let me ask you, what if Mike's brother is
I don't
Golden
think they're
Freddy,
twins,
separate
though.
from the tragedy at the pizzeria?
I mean, I guess
We
they
can
could
assume
be,
that
but I
Mike's
doubt
brother
it.
was kidnapped in one of the earlier parts of the timeline.
Wait, no, didn't Wyatt Parker say that Garrett was his little bro? The actor who played Garrett was his little bro? I'm pretty sure that's what he
A
said.
time
So.
when Golden Freddy would still be in use. And in the games, we've long theorized
Anyway,
that
siblings,
Mike
doesn't
Schmidt
matter.
is in fact Mike
Sorry,
Afton
what is he talking
in
about?
this novel. So let me ask you, what if Mike's brother is Golden Freddy, separate
Yeah,
from the
I mean,
tragedy
sure.
at the pizzeria? We can assume that Mike's brother was kidnapped in one of the earlier parts of the timeline, a time when Golden Freddy would still be in use. And in the games, we've long theorized that Mike Schmidt is in fact Mike Afton, son of William Afton. This would also mean that his little brother was the crying child who was killed and became one of the spirits that possessed Golden Freddy. Given the fact that Mike's father's been cast and is distinctly not being played by Matthew Lillard, I don't think that's the exact direction that they're taking for the movie, but...
Or it could just be that he's like a stepfather or an adopted dad, or like that Mike just didn't grow up with his real father.
Taking the core of that story, keeping Mike's brother as Golden Freddy, well, that would fit with both the timeline and serve as a devastating twist to the casual audience. It would also explain why Abby is spending so much time with Golden Freddy in the trailers.
Yeah.
It's her spending time with a brother that she never got to know, whether she realizes it or not. It could also explain why Golden Freddy retains blue eyes when all the other animatronics have red ones. The circumstances of his possession are just a little bit different, and he's interacting with a family member. So Afton attacks Mike and Vanessa for getting too...
I will say that doesn't Matt believe that Golden Freddy has 2 spirits in him? Why can't, in that case, the Garrett just be a second spirit in Golden Freddy? Like, I'm not saying that's definitely true. I mean, I think it is, but I am not saying that it's definitely true. But in that case, why can't it be like that in the movie? I'm just saying that I don't see why the 5th kid would have to be the Cupcake, and that would just be kind of stupid. I don't think that's. I don't think I'm alone in saying that would be kind of stupid. I think that Chica can just control it.
Close to his secrets, and despite fighting back, they ultimately lose. As they're about to die, Abby is able to win over the animatronics and use them to fight back against Afton, saving them all. You'll notice one of the oddities of the trailer is the design of Springtrap. It is different from what we see in the games.
Well, yeah, because he's not Springtrap yet.
It has not gone through all the rotten decay that we'd expect from this character. I believe that's exactly how it ends. Mike, Abby, Vanessa, and the animatronics defeat Afton by trapping him in the walls. Tying a bow on the end of this movie,
what about the Springlock part?
In a position to turn into the decayed, rotten corpse that we all know and love for the eventual sequel. However, all things can't end happily here. I believe there's a good chance that the animatronics are gonna wind up getting what they want out of Abby in the end. Her name is an anagram of baby, after all, an animatronic that first appeared in FNAF's sister location. The team celebrates the defeat of Afton, only for Abby to accidentally stumble into a clown outfit, or maybe get
how would that happen though?
Freddy, giving us our villain and the problem to solve in the eventual second movie, saving the girl from her eternal, ceaseless torment. Or maybe that ceaseless torment torment is just...
I mean, that's possible, but I don't see how that would end up happening. I feel like that would just be kind of random. I also, like I said, I don't know if, like, the animatronics would actually want to turn her into them, or if they just... Or if they're just wrong about it, and they actually just want to be friends with her because they're all little kids.
And for me, who is now tasked with trying to solve the timeline of this franchise across multiple channels. Truly, the animatronics have taken another victim. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Alright, sure. That was an interesting theory. I don't, like... Is there anything else at the end? I doubt it. Anyway, that was an interesting theory. I think it was decent. I think it was good. I don't think that the cupcake is possessed by the fifth kid. I'm not quite sure that Abby would just stumble into the clown animatronic, because first of all, where would the clown animatronic even show up from? And second of all, how would that happen? And I don't think the animatronics actually want to harm her. I think they just want to be friends like they do in the books. Like with Jason in the Silver Eyes, they just want to protect him because he's a kid just like them. So I feel like it's probably going to be more like that in the games, or in the movie too. I do think it was a good theory, though. I could see some of it being the case. Although I feel like what he's kind of missing is the fact that it's Five Nights at Freddy's, so I feel like there would probably be more nights than just what he's suggesting. I feel like what he's suggesting is maybe that it would be like 1 or 2 nights, but I feel like it would be definitely longer than that. I mean, it could be shorter, but I feel like it would be more in tone with, like, the actual movie. I feel like people that aren't fans of the games would be like, it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, why is there, like, 2 nights, right? So I think it would, like, extend out for longer than that. I think Mike would just be the guard for a couple nights before meeting Vanessa. But I do think that the theory was decent. I don't entirely agree, but I think it was a pretty good theory. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!